about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics. Let's talk about comics.
Harambe YouTube, it is Uncle Larry here, and I am extra excited today because I am reviewing a comic book that I've been excited for since it was just a rumor I heard last year, and it is finally here. I was so excited. I bought not only the A cover, but the B cover as well of She-Spawn #1 from Image/Todd McFarland Productions. My introduction to the Spawn universe is right around the time of the beginning of the War for the Throne of Hell arc. I'd say around the early 300s, 308, 310. And that's when, around the time they started the Scorch series, and Jessica Priest She-Spawn became a more prominent character in the Spawn universe. King Spawn was started around that time, and we started Gunslinger Spawn as well, starting with the Scorch and going on to his own series, including a prequel series now. And finally, we're getting a Jessica Priest-led She-Spawn book, and I am all here for it. There was trepidation at first of how are you going to treat this character? Is it just going to be the Scorch under a different title? Is it just going to be a rehash of Al Simmons' story? And I was pleasantly surprised. The creative team is Gail Simone, the very acclaimed comic writer. The art is Ig Gara, or maybe IG Gara. Brilliant work throughout the book, and also on the A cover as well. The colorist is Robert Nugent, and the lettering is by Ann World Design. And it really follows, I'm not going to give away spoilers, and so I'm going to be very vague on the plot points. But I will give you kind of the 3 stages of it. We start off with stage 1, being catching up on her time with the Scorch, and what the status is of that team right now, and how she got to this current point with that, and kind of wrapping up the storyline with Plague Spawn. And then we cut to her kind of leaving the group, venturing out on her own, trying to figure things out. We get a little bit more discussion of her child, who she is estranged from, and she is kind of going on a journey of self-discovery while getting into a scuffle here and there. And we're getting to know the character a little bit more. And one thing I really appreciate about this is, again, no spoilers, but if you look at the art here, it is a completely different look and feel from the rest of the Spawn books. Even in her Spawn form, when we're looking at the art of her and the Scorch name, it is a lot more bright, a lot more dynamic. I mean, look at this full page spread right here, where we get the title page. American Dream is the title page of this first series, I guess. And you can see this bright neon lime green and the bright reds, and I love the texture here of the suit. I mean, yeah, IG Guerra, I know I'm mispronouncing his name, but he did a masterful job on the art of this. And while we still have the suit and we're true to the Spawn style, the color palette is brighter and bigger, and it feels more like other stuff that you would see in my comic book collection. Not so dark, as dark a tone as the rest of the Spawn universe. And that is another thing I appreciate about the Spawn universe, is it has an established style, but when books venture off to individual characters, with Gunslinger Spawn's book, you're going to get more of a rustic look and feel. With Sam and Twitch Case Files, it is more of a police procedural set in the Spawn universe. So it's a lot more yellows, browns, dingy looking colors. And here is a very bright comic booky look, like something you almost see from Marvel. And then going on to the third act of this story, she meets this mysterious guy who is in her father's cabin that she's going to. And he has a mission for her that she just cannot refuse due to a major plot point. And this is where the story really takes off. Like I said, the first part, introduction of Jessica Priest, she spawned, and where she is now. The second part, her journey, finding herself, getting to know her as an individual. And Act 3 is the mission. And that is where the story takes off. We get to see her in her full she spawn form, going into battle. And it is just as brutal as you would expect. Here, take a look at this panel right here. The color just flies off the page. And we go through all the chaos, only to discover that when everything is calmed down and when the mission is quote-unquote complete, I'm not going to show you the last page, but there is a major twist that affects the entire Spawn universe. I will say it may involve time travel. Okay, I would say it most certainly involves time travel. But it really puts her at the genesis of the Spawn story. The entire Spawn universe story, let's just say that. And I think that one thing I was worried about is maybe the story would drift away from the core of Spawn and that universe and Al Simmons. But really, it tells Jessica Priest's story, but it also centers Al Simmons in the Spawn universe. And while it looks different than everything else on the book, it carries a lot of the same aesthetics, a lot of the same traditional looks that you would see, but adding a splash more of color, which sets it apart. This, by the way, is the B cover, and it is by Francesco Mattina. So I got this B cover right here. I think I might frame this and put it on my wall of comics. But this was not disappointing. At first, for me, the A story felt a little bit redundant because it felt like kind of a flashback episode of the story. It really picked up and got interesting when it was her kind of traveling and you're getting a little bit more exposition of Jessica Priest. But by the time we got to Act 3, I was very excited with what I saw. And the last panel in the book is a panel that literally put my jaw on the floor. I was surprised, but not in a jumping the shark ridiculous way, but in a way that gave me anticipation and excitement for the next issue, which will be out in June. So next month we're getting number 2. I suggest you get number 1 while you can. If you are a fan of the Spawn universe, if you are a fan of the Scorch, if you are a fan of She Spawn, Jessica Priest, get this book while you can. The first printing I'd hope would be available, but I would almost guarantee there will be more printings because, for one, it's a brand new number 1 series, and we have Gail Simone, an icon of the comic universe, teaming up with another icon, Todd McFarland, and his team to work on an iconic book, so that's another reason to get into it. Plus, it's just a very fun, completely new take on the Spawn universe. So that's my thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. Get out to your local comic book store and get this book. And if you like the content and like to help support the channel, you can buy me a coffee with the QR code on the screen right now. But most importantly, thank you for watching and keep reading them books. I'm going to. Uncle Blurred is out.